Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to GNR Central. And today I want to talk about a true story that maybe you guys aren't familiar with. So let's go back to 1988, and Appetite's blowing up. It's becoming a huge album. It took about a year for things to really take off for the band, and Sweet Child of Mine had just come out and is climbing up the charts. So back in 1988, Slash, Duff, and Izzy show up on the syndicated radio show Rockline in Los Angeles. But it wasn't any interview like any other interview they've done with other bands. The band members, Izzy, Slash, and Duff, were visibly drunk. It was pretty noticeable. And at one point, Slash throws up live on the air. And of course, they're cussing a lot and acting inappropriate on the air as well. In fact, Bob Coburn, who was the interviewer that day, remembers that incident pretty well. He said, Izzy, Duff, and Slash from GNR came on the show absolutely smashed, and a ridiculous feud broke out between the band, the label, KLOS, and anyone within a earshot, including the LA Times. So as a result of this interview, KLOS stopped playing Sweet Child of Mine. So here's what happened during the interview.
Just said something else, but I'm on the radio, so I have to say stuff.
Thanks. What's your question, Dan?
Okay, my question is about the song My Michelle. Is that about a real person?
It's about some chick, blowhead girl. Yeah, she does a lot of
Nice chick,
blow.
though. Except for that. I guess that's it, Dan.
What?
Thanks for the call.
What do you want?
That's it. You just want to know if it's about a real girl. And yes, it is.
Yeah, it's real.
We have a real girl on the line right now.
Thanks for calling.
Her name is Renee in Harlingen, Texas. She's listening to 99X in Brownsville. Renee, you're on the rock line.
Hi, Fuzz, and everybody else.
What am I, you linoleums? Hi.
Hi. My question is to Slash.
Uh-huh.
Who are your main influences? And then I have another question after this.
Okay, my main influences are Duff, Izzy, and Steve, and Axel, because if you knew these guys, it would be one of those situations where you couldn't be influenced by anybody else because you don't have enough time, right?
So I'll give you that $5 later.
And the other question, Renee.
Yeah, what's the other question?
What's the other one?
Okay, my other question is, how did the band come about?
We just met in Hollywood, and that was it. And we were the only 5 guys that I think we could tolerate each other for an extended period of time.
We all came together.
Once. We all came together once, and we said, okay, this is great.
That was good.
Oh, my. Renee, thanks for the call. We got a timeout coming, then we'll welcome you to the jungle and have more with Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the jungle. Guns N' Roses on Rockline and the Global Satellite Network. We're going to talk with Kim.
500 vitamins.
Calm down, boys. Calm down. We have Kim on the line in Davenport, Iowa. She's listening to 97X, serving the Quad Cities. Hi there, Kim.
Hi. Hi. Oh, my God. You guys.
So, he flew us up to San Francisco a couple times. We acted in the movie. We stood there, and they put a camera on us.
Another barf bag here to go, please.
So, it just came about for some reason we actually really don't know about, but we're in it.
There you go, Kim. Thanks for your call. We're going to talk now to Tracy in Reno, Nevada, listening to 105.7 KOZZ. Tracy, you're on with Guns N' Roses.
Hi.
Hi. Hey.
I'd like to know, in your own words, describe your music, because a lot of people get the wrong impression.
Okay. What do you mean the wrong impression?
Well, I don't know, there's a lot of people out there that...
Which?
Stepping on vocals again, all right.
There's a lot of people out there that they don't know if it's metal.
It's just a rock and roll band, you know?
Man, what do you want?
You guys are real good. You're my favorite band.
Thank you. Yeah, that's cool.
We're just a rock and roll band, seriously.
And what's the motive behind My Michelle?
The motive?
Uh-huh.
The motive?
KY102 in KC. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, I think you guys are really great. And I was wondering, how has Axel recovered from his illness?
He's fine.
We played
fine.
So shortly after Guns N' Roses' appearance on Rockline, an article was published in the local newspaper, the Los Angeles Times, in July 24th, 1988. It was titled No Bed of Roses, so they said Guns N' Roses may be the hottest new band in the country, a #2 album on the Billboard chart, and a growing rep as the most charismatic group to emerge from the local rock scene since Van Halen. So why isn't LA's top album rock station KLOS FM playing the album's hit single Sweet Child of Mine? Our testing found it had a really highly negative reaction with anyone over 25. They just don't like the song, explained program director Charlie West. Those listeners are really important to us, so it wasn't worth the risk of playing it. Says Geffen Records promo chief Al Curry, he said, I think they must have pulled the record because of the way the band behaved on Rockline, which is a syndicated radio show hosted by KLOS DJ Bob Coburn. So according to West, the band's behavior was disgraceful. He added they couldn't even straighten up long enough to do the show. The guitarist, who they referred to in the article as Flash instead of Slash, vomited all over the studio, and Bob said they ripped the girl's blouse and were pretty out of control, but they had nothing to do with my decision to pull the record. Retorted Curry, Flash did vomit. He told us he'd eaten a bad artichoke, but he didn't attack any girls or anything else. And geez, he did vomit in a paper bag. It's not like he threw up on the program director. So about 3 years later, Axl appeared on Rockline to promote the Use Your Illusion records and answer phone calls from fans. And the feud that happened a couple of years prior came up during their interview. Here's what they said.
So I didn't know what to expect coming into this show. I mean, Rockline and GNR have a history. I had never met you before. Mm-hmm. I was ready for almost anything. About the last thing I was hoping it would just be an argument, man. I was like, I was ready for that if that was the case. You know, it's like, all right, let's go after each other. You know, I got to tell you, but the last thing that I really was expecting was for you to be so nice and calm and answer the calls the way you have. And it seems like you've really gotten control of your life here.
Well, maybe a little bit, you know, but like we've been like this a lot when we're actually doing an interview, and you know, sometimes that isn't shown when the thing comes out.
Well, that's one thing about Rockline, you're live and unedited. So
yeah, it's been a good experience.
Well, I'm glad you came, and I want to say, I'm lucky. I like a lot of different kinds of music, but I got to tell you, these 2 CDs are right up there with Physical Graffiti, Exile on Main Street, and the Beatles' White CD.
Thanks, you didn't have to say that on there.
I know.
So years later, Bob Coburn did an interview where he was asked about some of the most memorable moments on Rockline, and he highlighted Izzy Duff and Slash's interview. He also revealed that Axl was going to kick his ass. So he said, that led to a show where halfway through, Axl Rose confessed to me. So he's referring to the 91 interview that he did with Axl. He basically confessed to Bob Coburn that he came to Rockline listening to NWA on 11, parked in a median on Cahoonga Boulevard, and was going to kick my ass for messing with his boys. He didn't, he said, because I was too nice and a lot bigger than he is. Now, sadly, in late 2016, Bob Coburn passed away at the age of 68. So he had been diagnosed earlier that year with lung cancer. Slash did an interview where he briefly commented on Coburn and the feud. Here's what he had to say after his passing.
Bob Coburn was one of the handful of DJs that I grew up listening to on FM radio in Los Angeles. And always liked Bob Coburn because he had this great sort of dry delivery, and he was always interviewing, you know, as an aspiring musician, he was interviewing all the artists that I really liked, and you know, I was able to hear you know, anecdotes from some of these great rock stars, great musicians that I was into. Anyway, and then in the 80s, Guns N' Roses finally got to that place where we were getting some radio play, and Bob Coburn and I started out on the wrong foot. we met for the first time, and Guns was down in his little studio in Studio City, doing a radio, you know, doing an interview, and you know, I was drinking and doing all that kind of stuff, and I'd just eaten next door at some little restaurant prior to the interview, and on air I got really sick and I threw up into a paper bag, and you know, at the time I didn't think it was a big deal, but Bob thought, I don't know, this story spread that we were just out of control, and I was pretty, I guess, for want of a better word, despicable. And so there was a big negative thing between myself and Bob for a long time. But then we got reacquainted years and years later, and did a lot of stuff together, you know, with some of my solo stuff. And he was just such a good guy, and so eloquent and so knowledgeable, and such a open-minded and you know, just very generous kind of a person to work with in the studio and whatnot. And I really liked him a lot. So we established a really good rapport. And you know, I talked to him when he was first, when I first found out that he was really sick. We spoke on the phone, and I was hoping that he was going to be able to pull through this. But I also know how severe the situation was for him health-wise, having had experience in my family with it. So anyway, at this point, it's just really sad to lose Bob. He was such a great guy and such a unique guy, such a one of a kind, and there's no replacing him. And so, this generation coming up of rock fans are only going to be able to hear reruns of some of the great stuff he did over the time leading up to this. They're not going to have anything new from him, but he's left such a great body of work that I'm sure that people are going to enjoy him for eons to come. But anyway, I just really love Bob a lot, and really sad to see him go. But rest in peace, Bob. Talk to you later.
So that does it for this episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And what did you make of the interview that Slash Duff and Izzy did in 1988? Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you love GNR and want to see more true stories like this. Go support us on Patreon if you want to continue to see us make videos like this. And go check us out on GNRcentral.com for the latest Guns N' Roses news. Take care.